Welcome to Conversational Christianity. My name is Mark Owens, and I'm here to be your guide into the essential world of Jesus of Nazareth and his teachings. Jesus said, "Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth." You know, with this statement, Jesus begins describing a radical new reality of the kingdom of God. And from the beginning of time, it's always been understood that the big man is going to win. The strong are the ones who take what they want. It's the man on top who calls the shots, and the everyday common person at the bottom just has to go along with whatever he says. As Bruce Hornsby said, hey, that's just the way it is. But Jesus comes along and he challenges that idea. And he says that in this new way of the kingdom, things are different. He said that the earth and the abundance of materialism that the earth has to provide doesn't belong to the strong. It belongs to the insignificant. It's the common, ordinary, everyday man who is really the one who receives the blessing of God. And so with this, he again gives us this idea of kingdom reversal, where the accepted order of things is turned upside down. As Weird Al would say, everything you think is wrong. Now, from our 21st century air-conditioned urban reality, sometimes it's hard for us to really understand what the first century listener heard. We don't get it with the same ears that they did. For us, it's blessed are the meek. How nice. But for the first century farmer who was essentially a sharecropper working the land of a great house overlord, and in the midst of that managing to squeeze out just enough food and money to feed himself and his family, well, this was an incredible idea, because Jesus is saying to him, you, my friend, are the blessed one. You're the one that God is smiling on, not the overlord. And in the end, you're the one who wins, even though it looks like the big man already won the game. Because when it's all said and done, everything you can see, touch, taste, and feel is going to be under your control, not his. You see, it was a message of empowerment and equality in a world of huge socio-economic differences, a world where the rich were very, very rich and the poor were absolutely desperate. It was a radical new way of seeing the world. It was also the beginning of a radical new understanding of the nature of God. You see, for the first century Jew, God was a bit of a despot. He's the one who made the rules and punished you when you broke the rules. And their collective memory was of a God who, from time to time, stepped into reality and either delivered them from bondage or put them into bondage. He was the one who, for generations, had been silent. There had been no prophets for a long, long time. All they had were the rabbis who managed to reinterpret the laws and traditions to meet their own desires and agendas. Is it any wonder that the common man felt neglected and abused in the midst of all this? There was no upward mobility. There was no chance for self-improvement. In fact, the whole thing was set to keep him pinned down between poverty and the constant threat from military Rome and the spiritual oppression of a corrupt temple system. It was a world that was more foreign to us than we really understand. And so we miss the gasp that the crowd had that day when Jesus said, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. You see, the emphasis of the statement is on they, not on blessed, which is where we tend to put it. See, Jesus is revealing that God is in love with the low and the powerless. That truly God is there watching over us, not as some disconnected overlord seeking to add misery to an already miserable people. But indeed, God is right there in the midst of their suffering. He's there with hope. He's there with encouragement and blessing, both spiritually and materially. And in the progressive revelation of the Beatitudes, this is the point where we're supposed to look up and see the smiling face of God beaming down at us. It's where we begin to understand that God is truly in love with his people. Jesus said, blessed are the poor in spirit. In other words, blessed are you when you reach the point of self-revelation and you know that you don't desire God. Then he says, blessed are those who mourn. That is, blessed are you when you reach a point of true conviction, understanding how far away from God you have been and how desperate you are for him. And then here, blessed are the meek. And this is the moment we have real connection with the Father, when we truly begin to understand that he cares for us, that he loves us, and that he's there for us. And Jesus says, as we begin to understand this, when we truly grab hold of this idea that God is for us, not against us, when we begin to see the world through the eyes of Christ, that's when we can understand we're truly on the way of this incredible new kingdom. I don't know about you, but I find that very, very encouraging. And I hope that somewhere in the midst of all this rambling, you've grabbed hold of something that'll lift your spirits a little bit and give you hope in the days ahead. Yeah, I'm really glad you hung out with me, and I hope you'll come back as we continue this journey of discovery together. Until then, here's wishing you peace, love, and spiritual understanding. God bless you.